inspire, empower, grab your girls and soar a little higher. Unlock the fire in you, 'cause real women don't bitch, no. Real women don't, 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 real women don't bitch.
Hey, thank you for joining me on the Real Women Don't Bitch podcast. This is your proud host, August Crenshaw, aka Mrs. Raw, Real, and Relentless. I am the #1 advanced mental conditioning specialist for entrepreneurs because building mental muscle is necessary in order to implement successful business strategies. This show has been created for the woman who is not excuse-driven and needs help building a profitable business. I will be interviewing women from various fields who are willing to break the silence on struggles that specifically affect female entrepreneurs. Welcome to a show where I and guest speakers from time to time share our methods that help us beast our business no matter what is going on in our lives. Whether you are an online or brick and mortar business owner, this show is for you. We will hit every angle, personal, professional, and spiritual. Why? Because on any given day, you get hit with shit from a scenario involving one, more, or perhaps all of the above. It all impacts you and your mindset towards your business. I have made it my personal mission to provide a space where we dive deep into the BS we face on a day-to-day basis. Hey, ladies, what's going on? It's your girl, August Crenshaw. Okay, so you guys already know when I have that level of animation and it's a Friday, that means I have a guest. So I love doing what I do. I love motivating and inspiring you guys, but there's nothing more brilliant than when I can get another sister to say, I want to come and I want to impact lives as well. And I'm really excited about this because I've gotten a chance to know this lady over the last 90 days, and I'm really passionate. She's really passionate about her work, and I really stand by it. And so we are going to have one hell of a conversation, and I already know it. So let me stop because it's not my segment. Miss Elaine, how are you, beautiful?
Hello, thank you so much. I am doing wonderful. I am so excited to be here and to spend this time with you. And yeah, so thank you so much.
You are welcome. So let's just dig right on in. Let the people know a little bit about you personally first. Let's get them warmed up to you. Let's see what let's see what we got in common.
All right. So my name is Elaine, and let's see, I moved to Maui. I live on this beautiful island. I've been here just over a year, and I have 3 children. My oldest is 27. And then I have a baby in between that he is my angel baby. So he's up in heaven looking down at me. And then my youngest is 7. So my living children are 20 years apart. And it's funny because some people tell me, how do you do it? And, I can't imagine my life without either of those babies. And yeah, it's just, I love it. It's like having 2 only children, right?
I'm right there with you and a little bit apart from you. My oldest is 25, my youngest is 4, and in between there is a 14 and a 6-year-old. And that 20-year gap, the one thing that I can say is that I kind of personally feel like as a mother, that there are a lot of stereotypes that I believed about parenting that all got dispelled because I was in decades. I had one in my 20s, I have one in my 30s, and now I have 2 little ones in my 40s. And so I tell people all the time, having one at 19, I could keep up with them. And even though I was a very involved, dedicated mom, I can't necessarily say that I have the same passion or zeal and concern, the high regard for showing up as a mother now. And so by my grounding, my footing, wanting to speak life into them and encourage them to be who they're going to be. I can't necessarily say that that's what I was doing when I was 19. When I was 19, it was just like, make sure you raise them right, make sure they get an education, make sure they're smart, make sure they're obedient. Whereas now, where I'm at in my life, it's like, make sure you inspire them to, live out their life's purpose and stuff like that. So who I am as a woman, it's interesting to watch the different iterations at each decade. And I can honestly say, even though my two youngest ones wear me out right now, they really do. And that's just being real. They do give me a reason to live. They do give me even more motivation, to do what I'm doing as a woman in business. So, hey, 20-year gap, high five. We got something in common. And there have been quite a few other women on this podcast that are crazy like you and I that have anywhere from a 10+ year gap. So join the club. So that's awesome. That's like totally freaking awesome. Now, before we get into your journey, I want you to literally tell, what do you do?
What I do, yes. I love helping women become mothers. That's the bottom line of what I do. I absolutely love being a mom. I love it with all that I am. And I love helping other women achieve that as well. So I combine a lot of different holistic healing modalities together to look beyond just the physical body about what might be interfering with conception, right? So I can see the unseen, right? I can see what is going on with their emotional body, like what emotions are blocking them, what traumatic experiences have they had that cellular memory is interfering with them conceiving in this right now, right? What spiritual reasons are happening? What past life trauma is there hanging around that's interfering? And so I call myself a fertility intuitive, but I feel like it goes beyond just being an intuitive, right? Because there's healing modalities, there's intuitive stuff, the bottom line is I just help women get pregnant. If that's what they want, I can help make it happen. Man. So that's what I do.
Well, and I already know, you guys, I already know that, but it was very powerful to hear you say it. And I think you saw, I put this on a post before. I was reading one of your posts and literally almost made me want to cry just because it was so impacting. It was so powerful. But at the end of the day, getting pregnant is not an issue for me. You can say sperm and I'm like, no. So, so I can't identify personally. I can only empathize with a woman who's had any issues with becoming pregnant, but I've seen it over and over and over again with women, and I've watched them go through miscarriages. And when it comes to creating your life that you want, a lot of the women, come on, ladies you're listening, when we think about creating the life that we want, many of you're not necessarily in the same boat as me. I already have the husband, I already have the kids, and trust me, I have no desire to have any more. I have proven, the stereotypical way that I'm a woman. But I've worked with a client before who only had one child. And she was like, dang it, I don't want to feel like I got to choose between my dream and having a baby. And so having a baby doesn't make you a woman, but having a baby, if that's what you want, is part of you fulfilling your life's purpose. And so wrestling with that concept of, I really, really want this, but I can't have my own. A lot of women have just surrendered to the fact that I guess it's never going to happen for me. I know a lot of women have tried different types of fertility drugs and basically butchered their bodies trying to make it happen. And so to watch you take a holistic approach to it is paramount, because like you said, it is more than just an intuitive. It's mindset work, it's spiritual healing, it's physical healing, it's cellular healing, it's energy healing. It's all of these different things, and it's important. So for those of you that are listening and you're a mompreneur but you want to expand, or maybe you're just an entrepreneur that wants to be a mompreneur, it's going to be really interesting to hear about your personal journey and also your own personal philosophies, around this. Now, can we just go ahead and like literally just dig right in, because you've already mentioned that you have an angel up in heaven. And so what happened? Was that miscarriage? Was that car accident? There's got to be some connection, right, to why you are so passionate about making sure other women become mothers. And it's obvious if you've lost one that it really, really means something to you.
Yes, thank you. My loss, my experience is what brought me to do the work I'm doing today. I used to be, I have a degree in information technology. I was a webmaster. I was a project manager, right? I was in that world until I lost my baby. I was 12 weeks pregnant and thought everything was going well. And I kind of noticed there were some slight changes, but I didn't want to admit it to myself, right? Because I feel like I knew something was wrong, but I didn't want to admit it, right? And so I started having some bleeding, some spotting. And so I called the doctor and they said, come in. And so I go in and they do an ultrasound, and that was one of the hardest days of my life. When they pull up the ultrasound, I can see my womb on the screen. I can see the sac, and they said, there's no heartbeat. And I couldn't believe it. I didn't understand. I felt like I was hit by a car. I didn't understand what she was saying. It was like, it was just so much at once. And then she says, I'm going to get the doctor. I want you to get dressed and go back into the waiting room. I'm still trying to process what I just heard. And they sent me out into the waiting room and I'm surrounded by women that are pregnant, holding their beautiful bellies, right? And it is beautiful, but in that moment, I couldn't understand why they put me right back out there with knowing that I just got the news that my baby died. And they put me right back out there with all these other women that are so happy. And it was such a difficult moment in my life. And and the other challenging part of it was that I hadn't told many people that I was pregnant. And because of that, I felt like I couldn't tell people that my baby had died, that I lost the baby. So it created this space of isolation for myself. And I remember there was a really big storm where I lived at the time. And so the work was closed for a few days, and it worked out really well. So people didn't realize that I was actually out of work for like a week, letting everything happen, right? Letting everything pass, and just trying to get back together to go back to work. And so it was like going back to work, like nothing ever happened, not knowing. I felt like I was just dying inside. I couldn't understand it. And I never really understood when because people had told me they had a miscarriage before, but I never really connected with that until it happened to me. And so because of this feeling of isolation, I went on this path of self-healing because I didn't know what else to do. So I tried all kinds of things to make myself feel better because I was depressed. I was sad and I was depressed. I was almost 40 years old. And so in my mind, I was thinking, gosh, this is like my last chance. This probably isn't going to happen again because I'm too old, right? The doctors told me I was advanced maternal age. And even though I didn't really feel it, I believed them. So I went on this path of self-healing. I changed my diet. I was like, I'm going to be vegan. I'm going to go work out. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And so I just dove into these different things to make myself feel better. And it helped. It helped me get over that hump, but I still didn't really talk about it. And then going forward, so that was early 2011. Then fast forward to 2014, I started to study holistic kinesiology. And in kinesiology school, we learned about the emotional root cause of physical ailments. And when I learned about that, that was when everything I had stuffed away related to my pregnancy loss came to the surface. And it just flew out. I cried like you wouldn't believe. I had this huge release, and then all of a sudden I felt better. I had not realized how much emotion I had stored and stuffed away related to my loss until it came out. And all of a sudden I'm feeling lighter, I'm feeling happier, and it was this whole renewed sense of kind of like who I was. I hadn't really realized the disconnect until I was able to clear it. And so that was when I made it my mission to help women heal from the emotions related to pregnancy loss. So I finished kinesiology school, and that's what I started doing, helping women heal from grief. So as I started doing that, I was still on my journey of self-healing, because now this was a whole different layer, a whole different level for me, looking at the emotions. And I put it together, wow, what else do I have that I can heal, right? And I wanted more, because I got a taste of what that kind of freedom felt like. I was like, I want more, I want more. So I go and, I go and see a lady to do hypnotherapy. And she says, before we get started, can we open sacred space? And I said, okay, like, I don't know what that means, but okay. She said, I'm gonna just give you a rattle, and I want you to just follow me. We're gonna open up the 4 directions. And I said, okay. I was up to try anything, right? And so she hands a rattle to me, and the moment she put it in my hand, I kid you not, in that moment, I had these visions and these memories of myself as a healer, as a medicine woman, as a shaman. All of these different lifetimes all came flooding to me at once. Tears are just streaming down my face. I open my eyes and I look at this woman that I just met, right? And I tell her, this is me. And she looked at me and she said, yes. So needless to say, the woman was a shamanic practitioner. She connected me with the shaman she trained with. I studied the medicine wheel and studied the traditional Peruvian shamanism. I also went on to study traditional Mexican healing and lots of other energy healing techniques. So during that time is when all of my intuitive gifts opened up. I was able to then begin connecting and communicating with not only the souls that decided to leave, like through miscarriage or stillbirth, but then the souls started coming to me that were wanting to be born. Wow. And so that it was really, really interesting, because, you know, I started seeing silhouettes on the wall, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, what is that? I don't know what that is. So I had to dig deeper and study, you know. So then I studied mediumship, and everything just kind of all fell in together. And so it's like a remembering, right? I remember my soul. My soul has done this before. This is the work of my soul, to help guide people to become women, to become mothers, and to guide those other souls here into this lifetime. And so that's basically how it all has come together. And so I have come to find out that the baby that I lost, his name is James, and he orchestrated all of that for me. Like, his intention was not to come, but to get my attention, to change the trajectory of my path. So, I was, like I said, I was a webmaster, project manager at the time of my loss. But because of my desire for this self-healing, it did change the whole trajectory of my life. And
wow, can I interject?
Yeah.
Like, I'm that there was so much wrapped up in it, and I didn't want to stop you. One thing that I will say though, you did bring up a memory for me, and I totally forgot about it. When I was pregnant with my third daughter, Niara, I remember going to the doctor, routine checkup. And I was just laying there in the bed in the clinic, and the lady just kept on looking, and she couldn't find my daughter's heartbeat. And they immediately sent me to the hospital. And I remember that fear. I remember that anxiety and that emotion and sitting there and crying. But things turned around, because when the doctor came in, picked it up right away. And I remember going from being afraid to like being enraged, like, why the hell didn't she know what she was doing? What was so difficult about you finding a heartbeat? Were you released in training? And I had to go through a quick myriad of emotions, because I remember that feeling. But like I said, I've never lost it, but that's as close, as I've come to that. But fast forwarding to everything else that you said, and I'm about to switch gears on you, but I want to say this first. What you said about your son James was beautiful, and I was just talking to another woman earlier today about some stuff, and she was talking about all these different things that she went through. And it's always so funny to me, like the people that become life coaches, like, have the most awful life stories, but then how do you facilitate healing for other people coming through their life's journey? And how can you really understand them? Some of the people that are the best business coaches, like, have done the best job at, to fouling it up. I tried this, that didn't work, this didn't work. And so it doesn't sound good to say when you're in the middle of it, but our trials really do come to make us stronger. The things that we deal with in life really do occur in order to push us into our purpose. I don't push any religion on anybody, because I'm not 100% any religion myself, but there's a scripture in the Bible that says that everything is working for your good for those that love God and are called according to his purpose. And so we don't want to think that everything is working for our good when it's a car accident, when we lose our baby, when our house is destroyed, or when a loved one dies. But if you can take the time to do the internal work, which is what you did, these are the things that you get to find out. Now, I'm personally not weirded out. And I know that my audience isn't, if they're regulars, they're not weirded out. But I want to switch gears, because we're learning a lot about you and what set this passion off. But one of the main purposes of this podcast is for women to see other women that are pushing, persevering, or that are successful in their journey. And so I know that I've had to tell people some stories about some quote unquote weird shit, that has happened to me, that I'm like, I don't think it's that weird. I'm like, this is phenomenal. And I saw these numbers, and this happened, and the sun was this way, and it was this distance. But most of us, now, then I'm saying this even including you, and you correct me, considering the fact that you were on this straight path, doing what you did, we find out this stuff by happenstance. And so for me personally, having a Christian background, there's a lot of woo-woo stuff that was going on with me that was not necessarily accepted by the church. And I dismissed it. I disregarded it. And so when I do what I do now, there are a lot of people that I used to connect with that don't connect with me, because then it's like, oh, you're entertaining the devil, you're looking at weird stuff, this isn't normal, this isn't natural. But all it is God manifesting, the universe, divine, however you want to say it, manifesting in your life. And I can't stand it when people put the divine in a box to say, oh, this is the only way that he's going to show up. And so how has that been for you, building your business, knowing that there's a group of people who are going to be like, you're a weirdo, when actually you're gifted.
Yeah, it's been challenging. It has not been the easiest, and particularly with my family. I was raised Catholic, and when all of this started happening to me, like I said, I started seeing stuff, I started experiencing things, I started hearing things, I started being able to do things, right, with my gifts. There was a time that I had to spend kind of digging deeper about what was really true. And then it took me back to my childhood, because when I was a child, I remember I always knew stuff. And I would tell my mom, and like, for example, one of the things I clearly remember is one day I remember I was probably around 7 or 8, telling my mom, we have to go find Dad. He was in a car accident. We have to go find him. And she didn't believe me. And short amount of time later, she got a phone call that my dad was in a car accident. And so, knowing that happened a lot when I was a child, and then it being kind of pushed down because it was too much for my mom. And so she didn't believe that, but yet she would always ask me my opinion, which was interesting as well. So then I started doing this work, and it did take me a while to be able to just come out and say, I am a psychic medium, I am a shamanic practitioner, this is what I do, this is what I see, and this is just the way that it is, because I do a lot of my work on Facebook, and so I have family members on Facebook, and sure enough, it got back around to my family, and my family didn't really agree with what I was doing. And I just had a conversation with them and said, look, this is what I do. You don't have to accept it. Just accept me as your daughter, because that's what I am. And this is what I do. So.
And you're not the only person. And I've wrestled with my own stuff myself, but I've had plenty of clients that are like, I want to go live on my business page, but I won't do it on my personal page. And it's kind of like, yeah, but your business page is a ghost town. The algorithm is deliberately set up like that. And so what do? You need to get on your personal page to guide them to the business page, and so on and so forth. But still, even whether it's a video or whether it's the written word, most entrepreneurs, not all, but most are revolutionary. Mm-hmm. They're controversial. We buck up against something because we aren't satisfied seeing that there's a need that isn't being taken care of. And so we rush in where other people are like, that's just the way it is. We're like, no, it doesn't have to be that way. And so whether it's for spiritual reasons or just for the fact that people don't want to get uncomfortable with change, then people buck up against us. And I know for a while, that was one of my issues. It was one of those things where people could, we sometimes internalize what we think people are thinking, and maybe they are. But what difference does it matter? But I would sometimes, want to say a cuss word, but I didn't. And it was one of those things I'm like, that you don't need to quit, and you need to stop playing and do what you need to do. When I really wanted to say, shit, and get off the pot, quit playing. You know what you're put on this earth for, and you're not doing anybody any good by hiding yourself. What the fuck is that going to do? And I'm not cussing because I want to be like, I can be a Christian and cuss, or I can love God and cuss. It's like, those are just the flavor of the words that I decided to select. And it's amazing. It's amazing how when I stopped playing it safe and saying things that the church would accept when they were never going to hire me, and I wasn't being rough enough and real enough and raw enough for the people that would, it wasn't until I said, listen, August, who are you? What are you doing? And why are you here? Basically having that moment with saying, listen, you are intuitive, intelligent, you're this, you're that, and you show up. That until the real me showed up, I didn't have the ability to connect with even potential clients. I wasn't getting the inquiry, so I couldn't have the conversion in the first place. And I've even personally watched you, metamorphose from going from just saying, hey, I can help you get pregnant, to being like, no, this is my mission, and you're supposed to come to me right now because I saw your baby. And so how is that felt for you, and how have you began to, see the inquiries or the responses of people change, even though we got the side of the people that thought you were crazy or questioning the way that you did what you did, but what about the people that you've been trying to get their attention all along?
Yeah, so it has been a metamorphosis, and I love it because I feel like that's how we all are. We are always evolving. We are always changing, and we just have to learn how to go with the flow, right? And follow our path where we are led. So it has been interesting. I've had to unfriend a lot of my family members, which it doesn't bother me anymore because frankly, they're not paying my bills, right? They are not contributing to me and my well-being. And if they want to say something, they can, but I do find that more and more women are watching me and following me, and they're coming closer and closer to me as I step up and I just speak from my heart, because that's what I'm doing. I know this is my soul mission. And I have to get over myself and my fears to be able to just say, look, if this is what you're going through, I can help you because this is my gift to the world. So come, let's work together. And so it has been really, really powerful. And I feel like, more and more, I feel like I'm getting stronger every day. I have been hiding, I have been timid, and it is part of our own evolution, right? But being able to acknowledge that, to know and to say, yes, I have been hiding. Yes, I was afraid, but I'm not anymore, because there's so many women that need all of us, right? All of us entrepreneurs to step up. There are women praying for us, and we are the answers to their prayers. We have to step up and show up for them.
Ooh, ladies, I mean, you could almost wrap the entire conversation up with that. That's the closing. You know what I'm saying? Because for real, what are you doing? Why are you doing it? Do you really understand your life's purpose? And I watch a lot of women a lot of times say, this is what I'm supposed to do, but what they're doing, it literally is for money. We are doing what we do. I tell people all the time, don't say, I'm not doing it for the money. Say, I'm not doing it only for the money. Because yes, we do have bills to pay. But when you are driven by passion, you show up differently. You can work longer. It does, because it doesn't feel like work to you. But that other piece that you said, that you're being an answer to a prayer. And, for somebody that teaches sales, I tell people all the time, when you get on the phone, that person should feel like you're an answer to a prayer. And they should have felt like that before you got there. And what you're doing with your content and the way that the people are beginning to follow you, a lot of you, if you could just hold on a little while longer, that's part of the process. Because a lot of us, we just want to put it out there. There's a link and for somebody to click it. But most of us are helping people through something that's painful. That's traumatic. Even with me as a business coach, there are some women out there that, it's traumatic to start a business, because if it doesn't work, here's another failed component of their life. They've already had a failed marriage. They've already had another failed business. They have failed relationships with their parents or something like that. And so, like I said, we can create narratives and we can tell ourselves things, and individuals are wanting to come out of that shell. And so how connected are you to your life's purpose? All of you may not have the experience like Elaine did, where you literally saw the other version of yourself. But it's, because I haven't personally had it that way. Mine has come more through word, and through snippets of visions and through ideas. God communicates with everybody differently, but he has spoken to me to say, look, all the way since back then, this is what I prescribe for you to do. And so, like, from watching me, every once in a while, I get really spiritually controversial on my videos. Isn't it funny how at first I didn't want to do things because I didn't want to offend the church, whereas now it's like, no, I'm going to ruffle your feathers. I'm going to rattle the cage. And it's not because I'm trying to make everybody become unchristian. If you want to do Jesus, whatever it is, that's fine. But there are plenty of individuals that are sitting around all the time that are sitting there saying, this is some bull. I don't really believe that. But they got to believe in something. That's the thing. People got to believe in something. And you could be the catalyst to help them believe what is already inside of them, what they already know to be true. And for you, it just so happens to be believing that I'm supposed to be a mom. And I told you about the girlfriend that I used to go to church with. Not only was she suffering miscarriages, but her and her friend were almost simultaneously, like clockwork, getting pregnant, within months or a year of each other, and both losing babies left and right. But they summon the same faith that you did, but they just did it through the Christian perspective of praying, believing, because they knew. They saw visions, they had dreams, they knew, and eventually they both did end up having their baby. And so some of us, we just don't get it as easy as others, because we are the torch bearers. So I love, and I know you've known this as I met you, I love everything about your story. I love everything about what you do, and I'm excited to see what each layer is going to go bring you as you continue to go on this journey. I do want to bring something back though, because a lot of people won't do it. You said it, but you've unfriended a lot of people. And can you kind of at least talk about that feeling with that initial person, like, I'm about to unfriend you or block you? Because it is a transformation. And if you go from, I got to do this, to, please, let me just unfriend this person, because I'm going to do you a favor. We can still be friends, but I don't need you to, I call it, people say protecting their personal space. I say protecting my internet space. It's still it's still the same thing. And so encouragement, thoughts, because there's some other women that are listening that need to do the same thing. And somebody like me would just tell them to do it. But of course, sometimes they need a little bit of, coaxing or a little bit of conversation to actually do that.
Yeah, so it was interesting. There was a little bit of hesitation because I unfriended my niece and nephew, right? And I love my niece and nephew. I love them so much, but I know they are little informants to go run to my sister or run to my parents. And I just got to this space of, I don't need that. I just think about, it is about our energetic space, and what we create on Facebook or any other platform. It's our space. We can create it however we want. And I just took all of that out because I could feel it. I could feel it kind of pulling energy away from me. And so I just did, unfriend. And then it was like, wow, that's actually pretty easy. Who else should I unfriend? And then just started undoing it. And now I'm at the point where I can unfriend people or not. It doesn't matter to me anymore, because I feel like I am so much more in my own power that doesn't bother me anymore. And so if they're uncomfortable, frankly, they can unfriend me, right? Because my job is not to make people feel comfortable or anything. My job is to say my truth of what I'm doing and to share my vision and my mission. And yeah, it is kind of out of the ordinary, but that's okay. This is me. This is me. Or
better yet, the rest of the world has been out of the ordinary, and we're trying to restore it.
Right.
Right. If you really, really think about it. So, I mean, I love your mindset and your perspective. And yeah, I'm definitely a firm believer. There's some people that are connected to me that I'm like, I don't even know why the hell you follow me. But if you make me feel for 2 seconds that you're going to invade my space, disrespect my space, you come on my post, you can inquire, you can even think differently than me. But the minute that I feel like you are attacking me and you're deliberately coming against me, I don't just unfriend, I block. I call myself the block queen. I'm waiting for Facebook to tell me, lady, there's no more blocking. You've reached the maximum amount of blocks. Maybe you should just leave the platform, because I have blocked that many people. But anyway, so yeah, we got to get rid of the people that shouldn't be there. And then of course we need to strengthen and tighten our circles with the people that do need to be there. And so considering the challenges that you've overcome and this powerful mindset that you have, what do you do to keep yourself grounded and girded and intentional about your purpose outside of just saying, I know that this is what I'm called to do. Books, people, whatever. How do you keep this mind frame?
Well, I'm always learning, right? I just have this deep desire to always learn. So I have Audible and I'm listening to audiobooks all the time, and listening, like I'll go on YouTube and I'll search for things. And I like listening to different people's perspectives, especially like I like listening to things about manifesting and just the different perspectives about that. And I meditate every morning. I'm up between 4:30, and I spend some quiet time before my husband interrupts me or before my daughter gets up, right? I spend that time for myself. And then I also go out into nature, because nature, I feel like, is a teacher for us. And I go and I connect. Even just in my backyard, I feel like all of the trees are so alive here. All of the flowers, like I feel like everything is like reaching out to support me. And so I like to meditate and just be in the present moment outside, and just be in a space where I offer gratitude, and then I'm open to receive any support, any energetic support that they have for me. And I do feel like, the trees help me stand up just a little bit taller, and the flowers help me to recognize my own beauty inside. And so I'm really grateful for living in such a beautiful place, but being able to connect to all of the elements and the elemental beings that are here too, because there are also all of these support, right? Nature support for us.
No, absolutely beautiful. I love it. And you made me think of two things. The movie Avatar and the book, The Power of Now. Those are the things that like popped in my head immediately while you were talking. And honestly, I would just put my 2 cents in. And The Power of Now is a book that I happen to recommend to a lot of people, because on this journey of entrepreneurship, there's this anxiousness and this strong zeal to do what you're called to do. And so you're pressing, or you're racing towards the mark, but it also has to be accompanied with this a high level of patience, because nothing happens overnight. And so we get these highlight reels of people that are supposedly successful. They're not even always successful. They just give the imagery that they are, but then and even the ones that are successful, they're giving snippets of what that success actually looks like. And so you could find yourself saying, but I'm showing up, and I want to get out of this current situation and get to that place of success. And so being in a position where you're not so anxious to get away from where you are now to get into the future is part of what hones that spirit of gratitude. And it's the same thing even with relationship to the past. You can't be trying so hard to get away from what happened to you that you're resentful of the things that happened behind you, because then that disrupts the spirit of gratitude as well. And so being in this place where we celebrate the little things, where we're excited about life, has to do with you being able to be in the present. And so a lot of people are getting acclimated to journaling, to meditation, and really honing the power of the presence, the power of right now, so that you can be open to seize those opportunities. So ladies that are listening, that's still even some more wisdom right there. Where are you at? How grateful are you for your current position? Don't be too anxious to get away from it, to get to something else, or to get away from something else, and find the beauty in all of those things. I love it when I do this. I love it when I have the podcast, because when we're talking, then that just means a bunch of stuff even continues to flood for me, even the more. I'm internally grateful that you were willing to come here and that you were willing to share. I want you to, number one, I want you to think about what would your last words of wisdom be to the woman who is in business that is persevering. And then I also want you to tell everybody where they find you. Where's your hot places online or wherever to connect with you, because I want the ladies to definitely connect with you if your services are something that they need.
Yeah, thank you. So I feel like my advice for entrepreneurs, for women trying to get pregnant, for women trying to create the life of their dreams, right? It's for me, all of it is similar, right? Because it's all around creation, right? Creation energy. And what I want to say is anything is possible if you believe. I really truly feel that in all cases. And it is a lot about getting out of our mind. And that's one thing I tell my clients so often is anything is possible. So that's my advice. And you can find me, or any of these ladies can find me on Facebook is the primary platform that I use. Send me a friend request. I'm open to always accepting new friends, and you can send me a message. Let me know you heard me with this podcast with August. I also have a business page, and it is Elaine Bogard Fertility Intuitive. You can like that page as well. I do most of my stuff on my personal page though, just because of the algorithm. My website is www.healingthewomb.com, and you can find info there. And then lastly, Instagram is Elaine Lopez Bogard on Instagram.
Go find her. The links are all on the website. Wherever you are, go find her. And I love it because more often than not, something is said in the podcast, and I've already got your title. I never know what the title's going to be right away, but anything is possible if you believe.
Yes.
Yeah, when you gave that last piece of advice, kind of a long title, but even if I have to condense the font, I'm going to get that on that template because I believe that's just like a really, really cool title, So once again, I want to thank you and I appreciate you because look, let me just put this out here just in case somebody happens to listen. There are a lot of people who want to be guests on podcasts, and there's one little thing that I want everybody to do when they fill out for my podcast. And I won't say what that thing is, but I was like, when you and I connected, I was like, please don't let her foul this up. And you did it. And you know what I'm talking about, but it lets me know, even if you still kind of skimmed it, it lets me know if you read the emails, because it's not just about, my audience already knows. I don't care where you're at in your journey. If you're in the beginning, you're in the middle, or you're in the, you're advanced. I want you to bring value. I want you to bring your story, because there's so many things that we as women wrestle with emotionally, spiritually, that somebody just needs to see what's possible. After all of that, there's a woman right now that's basically crippled to the bed by depression, because she hasn't gotten over the loss and is missing an opportunity to discover who she is. And just maybe because she still keeps having angels drop something on her, she might listen to this podcast. And that might be 5 years from now. I don't know. But I just know that at the end, I want this podcast to be something of value that people say, when I listen to it, I learn. I learned from the guest and I learned from the host. And so you were very transparent on your application. I love that. You've been very transparent in your position on social media, and you actually followed the instructions. And so I appreciate that. So thank you again, and you're welcome, to come back next season, and I can keep rocking with you. Maybe next time we'll get into some of what you actually do. Maybe just do the emotional side of things and kind of hit people on to some emotional healing. Not giving away our whole process, ladies, but and digging a little bit further to continue to help you get some more exposure.
Sure, yeah, that would be great. Some womb healing and connecting to the womb. That's so powerful. Yeah, that would be fun. Awesome.
All right, ladies, guess what? We are at the end of the segment, and we will see you next week with more. This is your girl, August Crenshaw. I'm outie. Deuces.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for joining me today. Remember to cultivate a mindset that is biased towards taking action. No bitching, whining, or complaining. Here, our mantra is, real women don't bitch, we get shit done. See you next week as I continue to bring you what you need to keep your head in the game and beast your business. Don't forget to hit subscribe and leave us a 5-star review. Would you like a specific topic covered? Have a question you would like answered live? Then head on over to realwomendon'tbitchpodcast.com. Subscribe to my email list, hit me up, and I got you. Interested in being a guest speaker? You walk the walk? Then you can sign up on the website too. This is your #1 advanced mental conditioning specialist for entrepreneurs, Mrs. Raw, Real, and Relentless, signing out. Deuces!
Inspire, empower, grab your girls and soar a little higher. Unlock the fire in